So I have medications, and I learned a lot preparing for this. I know why doctors go to school for 15 years and specialize, because there's like 400 medications that are available, and they're complicated.
Louder. You got to move so you can see the screen.
Ah, sure.
Come to your right.
Thanks. Okay. So the goal is to build an emergency medications kit that can last an extended period of time. And this is where you need to pray and determine what's an extended period of time. For us, we're looking at medications for a year, but that's not going to be possible for all medications, and it may not fit your emergency revelatory preparation ideal. And obtain the requisite materials and knowledge to acquire, manage, and administer the medications in your kit. And this is primarily in the case of no doctor or living off-grid or, stuff like that.
Can we pause a second?
Yes.
Can you edit, or is there a setting that
I don't know why it's doing
full
this.
screen on there?
I think it's probably the
TV.
Yeah, it's the TV.
Change
Sorry
it.
about that. I
It'll
don't know
be
how
able
to do that.
go.
If you minimize this.
No, put this, no pages.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's strange. Anyhow, so the context is another long-term pandemic where we may have to shelter in place, a nuclear, chemical, biological attack, a severe supply chain disruption. 70% of all medications, what's in the medications, are produced in China and in India. 20% in Europe. US is about 10%. So in the case of a severe supply disruption, medication is going to be a problem. So it's something we need to be prepared for. And the first thing that will get looted, let's be honest, will be a pharmacy in an emergency situation, or a chaos as we might view it. So medications is really complicated because we're all individual human beings, and one size doesn't fit all. We could be a woman, we could be a male, we could be a child, we could be pregnant, we could have allergies. There's no silver bullet for everything. So just remember that. Treatment requires diagnosis. So one thing I really learned preparing for this is you have to be able to treat an illness to know what medication to prescribe. So there's some great books. I would highly recommend these. And we have a handout with these listed in here, Where There Is No Doctor, and the Survival Medicine Handbook. It goes over what are the kind of symptoms and what's typically what it might be, and what's the medication for it. Some illnesses require access to life-saving equipment. So there's certain cases where if you're on dialysis or getting transfusions, there's going to be no easy answer unless you can get to a hospital. This is where, if there is no hospital available or you're isolated, this is where the priesthood will have to come into play. For blessing of healing. There's other natural things, essential oils, honey, ginger, herbs, turmeric, cinnamon, apple cider vinegar. It's got all kinds of great things in it. It has antibacterial properties, antivirus, antifungal, antiparasitic. These are things you should also stock up on, and some of these things you can grow in your garden beside vegetables as well. So in your medicine kit, you'll need to know what are the associated risks of the medication, the side effects, the long-term effects. They usually provide these for you. Conflicts with other medications. Sometimes if you take two medications together, it's bad. Expiration dates and what they mean. Expiration dates mean it's no longer 100% potent, but they've done studies where some medicines could last 5, 10, 15, 20 years and still be 80 or 90% potent. But you have to be careful, because some, when they do expire, can become toxic. So you just need to know your medications and understand the expiration dates, and I would recommend replacing them when they expire. The dosage frequency and quantity, you won't give a child the same quantity and dosage as an adult, but you can cut things in halves and quarters and eighths, depending on the weight and size of the individual. And some medications you can't give to children, so you have to get children's medications as well. And storage. We're going to talk about storage in a bit, but if you have medication that I don't know, maybe insulin or others that need refrigeration, you'll need to prepare to have power supply backup if you have to refrigerate things and it's summertime. Okay. So things to do. So you need to make a list of your medications, and we have some handouts. You need to keep that in your medication kit. If for some reason you're incapacitated, somebody will be able to know what medications you're taking. You need to buy generic to keep costs down. I did a quick Amazon search. So acetaminophen, I can't pronounce these, is Tylenol. You can buy the generic version online for $8. Tylenol is $10. For 100 milligram tablets of Tylenol, 100 count. And for the generic version, you can get 100 milligrams, 500 count for just $2 less. You get 4 times as much for $2 less. So we'll go through a slide in a bit, but we have a handout with the generic names of medications, not so you don't overspend. Always buy medications in pill form. They last longer than liquid form or gel form. So pill form is proven to be the best way to stockpile on medications, and they can last a long time. And you need to purchase a medicine guide. So we'll look at some of the medicines, and we'll look at some of the kits that are available where you can buy life-saving medications. They explain typically what they treat, how to use them, who not to use them on, et cetera, et cetera. But you need to get a medicine guide in your emergency kit storage as well. So the medications you should have in your kit, this is the gist of this presentation. So I took a good, better, best approach. So good is to have over-the-counter medications. They're broad-based, they're low risk, they're category 4 and 5 medications, so they're not opioids or addicting. They're generally safe. You could buy them at the drugstore. A better option is to have a year's supply if possible, or whatever revelation you receive, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, of personal prescription medications. They're more targeted. They're medium risk because they're your medications and the cost isn't prohibitive, usually covered by insurance. And the best option is to have all of the above. Better includes good as well. And then best is having life-saving meds, plus your prescription meds, plus over-the-counter meds. And these are the fast-acting, powerful, high-risk, and high-cost, like antibiotics. I think I read a study where 75% of us would not be here today if it wasn't for antibiotics. So they're life-saving. And I appreciate the sanitation presentation, because in a emergency scenario or a long-term scenario where hygiene is going to be a problem, you may not be able to take showers very often. Disease is going to creep in. Everybody in this room is going to have everything ready, but there's hundreds of thousands of people out there around you that won't. So you need to have life-saving medications on hand, a year's supply. So what are some good over-the-counter medications? I won't go through all these because they're in the handout, but generally speaking, Greg highlighted a couple of them in this list. Neosporin was one of them. But these are the 20 you should always have in your kit. So go out and buy them. I think if you do the pricing on this, you can probably buy all these over-the-counter medications for $150 at the most for a year's supply. Better is have your prescription medications. And these are difficult because they're not so easy to get extended supply for all medications. We'll talk about some ways you can, but you can talk with your doctor. Usually you can get extra prescription if you're traveling, especially out of the country. If it's flu season, if you refill on the very first day you can save a few tablets or pills as you go. Yeah. Paul said that there are medications you can get online for diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, thyroid problems, mental health, autoimmune diseases, urinary issues, digestion, etc. for a year. So the life-saving medications you need antibiotics, you need antifungals, and these are the deaths per year from people who don't have these. So 8 million people die every year because they don't have access to antibiotics. And this is globally. Antifungal medications, antiparasitic medications, especially in a situation where diseases, and even now today, there's a lot of diseases that are kind of coming back in style. Measles, chickenpox, cholera, tuberculosis, because antibiotics haven't really worked for those. People have become immune to them because they haven't done it right. So we just have to be prepared for these type of things, especially a future plague, for instance. Gastrointestinal medications, epinephrine, which Greg and Michelle talked about for anaphylaxis, and oxygen, if possible, for hypoxia. Here's one of the kits. These are so you can get amoxicillin and 2 other antibiotics. You can also get parasitic medication it comes with, an antifungal medication it comes with, a gastrointestinal medication it comes with, and we'll talk about those in just a second. Obviously, epinephrine is really important. EpiPens are really expensive, and if your insurance isn't going to cover it unless you have somebody who normally has allergic reactions, they're about $650 for a pack of 2, and you need 2 because the first injection may not take full effect, and so you have to give a second injection. You can buy them at the pharmacy for these ones up here, Adrenaclick, and I don't know how to pronounce it, OVQ, but they're generic. Epinephrine's epinephrine. It's adrenaline, and it's basically in 3 sizes. So these are the exact same medications. They're just cheaper if you buy the generic ones instead of the EpiPen. Costco, you can get these for about $275. You can get them online for about $250, and sometimes they have coupons, so you can get them for about $175. And depending on your family situation, I would recommend 1 for adults, 1 for children. If you have, I think it's up to 40-something pounds for toddlers. I can't remember the cutoff, but you probably should have 1 for each of your age groups. They may not have an allergic reaction now, but if you're administering medication and we're living times when things are topsy-turvy, it's always safe. It's always good to have something that will save your life. Once. Yeah, it's just once.
They're pretty expensive, and they have kind of a limited shelf life too.
Yeah, it's a year. Yeah. The RVQ one actually has a voice recording in it. It tells you what to do. Pull the purple tab, put it in the leg, count to 3, and the needle retracts. So they're actually pretty impressive. Vicki, do you have a question? Okay, yeah. So
I try not have Greg write my prescriptions, but if I've told my our family doctor that my children have allergic reactions, and so they'll write a prescription, and so it's $20. It's whatever. So
Yeah.
you can try that.
yeah, if your insurance covers it, you're great. If not, it's pricey. So oxygen, I wasn't quite sure about this. All EMTs, emergency medical technicians, carry a couple things. Nitroglycerin, which I'm not sure how to get, but oxygen is one of the things, along with what do you call the thing that shocks your heart? Defibrillators and things like that. And some of these places you can actually buy the defibrillator as well. But oxygen is very expensive if you want to have it reusable. It requires a tank, a regulator, a concentrator. Cheapest I could find for these 3 things, plus you need power, is $750. You can get portable oxygen for like $50 for 2 liters in an emergency if somebody needs oxygen. But it can save lives. A lot of people die from hypoxia. So where do you purchase them? Chase Medical, which is the one in Utah, Duration Health, Contingency Health, and the Wellness Company. They all sell kits. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. They all cost approximately $300 for a basic kit. And let's see. So the way these online companies work is telemedicine. So basically you fill out a questionnaire for each family member. So these are kits for each family member, not just for the whole family. You may need to have had a recent physical. I think Jase Medical requires a two years physical in the last 2 years. Some of them don't require any physical. Some of them don't even require you talking to a doctor. You can actually order them online. You have to fill out a survey and a health questionnaire. Somebody reviews it, and if they're okay with it, you can buy. But most of them do have a doctor that you speak with. They're board certified and state licensed, so they have to work in Utah. They have to be licensed in Utah. They'll determine your medication needs. They'll write a prescription. They work with a pharmacy that's associated with the company, and they'll ship them in 1 to 2 weeks, which is good and bad. Medications need to stay at room temperature. It's bad if they're frozen. They won't. That's the worst thing that you can do is freeze medications, and they don't work really well in high heat, and especially if you're having stuff delivered in the summer and it's sticking in your mailbox and you're on vacation, they can reach 130, 40 degrees. So it's best if you can pick up the medication. If not, hopefully you're home when it's delivered. You have a 1-year access to chat with your doctor. They also include a guide for the medications they provide for you that explain everything on how to use them, dosages, and what not, if you're pregnant, not to use them, etc. They won't be covered by insurance, so just put that out there up front. And like I said, the cost for a basic kit, which usually includes 3 antibiotics. These are broad-based. They treat, I counted about 70 or 80 illnesses or diseases. And they also have an antifungal for jock itch and other things. Like I said, if you're not showering all the time, these could be problems. An antiparasitic for worms like roundworms or other parasites. A gastrointestinal medicine for severe diarrhea. Over-the-counter stuff isn't going to be strong enough in these cases. And that's about $300 a person on average between the 4 companies I listed. That's pretty much it.
I don't need those companies.
It's on the handout. Yeah, it's on the handout. So any questions? So the bottom line is you can get a year's supply of antibiotics, antifungals, antiparasitics. You can even get antivirals, usually Tamiflu, that will last a year or more.